What's going on, YouTube? I just wanted to discuss today my second ayahuasca trip in Etnica's, the retreat called Etnica's, just outside of Cusco in the Sacred Valley in Peru. And I already uploaded a video of my first experience. If you want to check that out, that's on my channel as well. But in essence, the first experience was much more chaotic and more, I guess, negative in some ways and scary. But the second experience was more profound, more positive, and amazing, really. Incredible. Quite a profound experience, definitely. So I had maybe a male and a female shaman for my second experience. First experience I had 2 or 3 male-only shaman. Whether that had anything to do with the experience panning out the way that it did. The first one being kind of a little bit negative and scary, but DMT is always scary, I think, in a way, or shocking, kind of. It's got so many dimensions to it that it's everything, really, at once, so it's hard to say. But so the second experience began. I had slightly less ayahuasca in the cup, maybe 3/4 of a cup. I drank that down, sitting, meditating. I should preface first saying that I was terrified. I was terrified of the taste. I was terrified. It took all my courage. It was probably the hardest and scariest thing I ever had to do, to drink the ayahuasca again. And it was no easy feat. There was a lot of anxiety, almost to the point of like shaking. Like I was terrified to drink it again, but I felt that I needed to. And as soon as I drank it and got it down, I was overcome with this feeling of kind of peace and accomplishment and like, you'll be okay and you'll be looked after. And I wasn't cocky going into the first experience. I definitely wouldn't say that, but more, I felt like I could handle it. And in the second experience, I was kind of very humbled. Like, I even remember thinking as it was starting to take effect, like, all right, don't hurt me, please. I'm with you all the way. I'm just a kid of the world. I'm just a human. I'm humbled, you know. I'm in your arms. Please don't hurt me. And that's kind of, I didn't think about that as much. That just happened automatically as I started to feel the effects again. My body just offered that up, like not. I had no intentions of doing and saying that. I just blurted it out. So that kind of shows you the power of it. But anyway, so I drank about 3/4 of a cup. A woman shaman in this time. So some interesting, very beautiful Icaros being sung. The first ceremony, the male Icaros, were beautiful as well. There's even that YouTube recording of one of the shamans that I had. I might link it in the description, but it brings back quite powerful memories to me, as do some of the smells and stuff. If I smell similar smells, it's like the memories are encoded in that kind of sensory information in some way. But anyway, so I drank that, sitting back, meditating in the dark, kind of maloka, just little candles on and stuff. And as it started to come on, it comes on again with this kind of very physical body, like electric pulse, just pulsing through your body, like very, very intense, just grabbing onto a power line kind of feeling. And you kind of buzz, and then it's sound, and you can hear it and feel it, and it's this rising in intensity of energy. Something's happening in your body. I can't physiologically explain it, but you know, it's intense. Something's happening, and it progresses and progresses to the point where you can't handle it, and you blast out of your body. So that happened again, similar way to the first time. But this time I appeared, my first vision was, I kind of slipped out of my body in a similar way. I didn't slink down as much. It's almost like I got more confident with that transition out of the body, and it wasn't as noticeable. It just was kind of like, all right, here you go, you're gone. And my first vision was in like a temple, like an Egyptian, but I'm inside. But I felt like it was maybe a triangular structure. And I look below me and there's kind of like a trapdoor, like old kind of looking floorboards, and in between it I can see almost like the chaotic hell world that I experienced, like a different layer, like a level. I think there's some shamanic belief about the levels of reality. This very distinctly felt like I was at a higher level than I experienced the first time, and I looked down and I could see like that, like hands reaching up, kind of darker energy and confusion and chaos below me, reaching up out of the kind of woodenish floorboards type thing. And I was in a higher space, and I went higher from there. So what I saw was I was inside this ancient sandstony kind of structure. I felt like it was triangular, like a pyramid, but I couldn't really see to define it like that. And I looked up in the corner. I saw down below me all of what I just described. I looked up in the corner and saw almost like a galaxy looking, just like some sort of object that shouldn't, like a rift in time and space, looked like a galaxy just hanging up the top. And these aren't really spaces that are defined by like being a room, or it was quite a large space, and this was just kind of slowly kind of rotating up in the corner. And as I looked at it, I became entranced by it, and I rose up into it. Slowly but surely rose, like intent, like willed my way up. After seeing what was below me, I didn't want to go back down there. And I kind of willed my way up into this galaxy-looking rift portal. Portal? I guess portal, yeah. So I willed myself into this, and as I kind of end my consciousness, remember I'm not in a body now, but my consciousness floated up there, and as I entered it, I got this kind of buzzing wave of just so much energy, but very positive and overwhelming, like blues and greens and like heavy saturation, and then like such rapid transforming imagery of like femininity and breasts and the earth, and all entangled and soft and caring, and humans and animals and love and death, and but meaningful death, and like it was all kind of spinning and warping, and this vision just, and it was kind of changing, and I got a very motherly sense of like, you're okay, it's okay, everything is in balance, you're in balance, we love you, I love you, kind of everything is love, more so. And it was kind of, for a long time, there was these earthy leaves and forests and loves and breasts and mothers breastfeeding and babies, and like a woman with the kind of pregnant belly, and then the belly was the earth, and the earth was the belly, and this everything was in balance and in harmony. Very kind of harmonious, beautiful visions that I didn't experience the first time as much. The first time I felt like I was getting acquainted with the kind of DMT dimension, and this time it felt very much like I was being shown the beauty, the potential beauty of that place. And my kind of opinion is almost like that you can have these experiences. There's an intelligence there. It's almost like an intelligence uses this platform, this pharmacological interaction with your human brain, your mammalian brain, to kind of, and it knows it can make you experience anything, and it uses that platform to teach you through experience. So in essence, I don't think those things were really there or really morphing, but I feel like there was a wise intelligence crafting that experience for me to elicit a certain response and a certain learning in me as a human. That's what it's like. And that period kind of went on for a little bit, and then I kind of, there's a little bit of memory gap, lost track, because this happened at the start of this year now, in like about February, I think. So a little bit has faded, but that wasn't the highlight. And then so say that period, and then there was this very intense vision, like right at the peak. That went on for quite some time, a very beautiful, rapid imagery, so it's hard to latch onto. And I feel like the deep spots, some of the deep spots, you can't bring back. It's like, doesn't map back over. What your consciousness is able to intake and the lessons that you're able to experience, you can only bring back like a little, like a metaphor in a way, you know what I mean? Like an imprint, like you're just running sand over the outside of something unseeable or unknowable, and you're just getting the outlines, and that's all you're meant to get because you experienced it, and that's the main thing. But you can't bring it all back here. It doesn't map back over in that way. But the kind of peak and the highlight of the experience was I buzzed you wave in and out of your body through some of these experiences. And as I waved out of my body, I went back in after this first, and you're kind of aware of that I'm in the Maloka. I hear people kind of sweating and like screaming and vomiting and shit, like as people do. And then you buzz back out again. And as I buzzed out again, I buzzed into a body that was like, the only word we have for it is astronaut, in a kind of space sage suit. Very, very complex. Like the technology is very alien, but it was a craft in space, I guess. In space, definitely space, but it's almost indescribable. But it's like I was an astronaut in this reddish kind of hyper advanced spacesuit. And I was like, as I experienced being in this body, I was kind of coming in from outside, or I got the impression, or I physically was coming from somewhere outside into their space. And these other astronauts there, I think there were 4 or 5 of them, and they felt like my family. Like they felt like more family than any family I've ever known. It was very deep, very long and profound connection that I had with these beings. And I kind of, this is telepathically, not physically speaking, but I kind of communicated to them that I'd been away for a long time, or what was happening kind of thing. Why did they feel familiar, and did I know them kind of thing. And they kind of almost laughingly made it clear to me that I had been gone no time at all. A very small, maybe equivalent to like 10 seconds or a minute in their time, if you call it that. And my whole life on Earth and my whole life in this body had just been a fraction, or they didn't give it the credibility that I thought it deserved in a way. It was just like yeah, you know, it's all good. You won't go on long, and you're gonna go again. And it was this was just so emotionally fueled of like, what's happening? Like, what does this mean? And I was in this spaceship type thing that was you could see out as if you were in nothing. But I was in some kind of hyper advanced environment in which there was controls and kind of just all this kind of crazy technology around, and I could look out and see this bit of a galaxy or a star. It was just beautiful bit of space, like a corner of the universe, maybe not this universe, or I don't know. And I kind of was like, so I'm going to go back, like what can happen? What does this mean? And then they said we can upgrade, or I asked, or they suggested that they can upgrade my brain, like, and I was like, I think I was like, okay. And then I remember kind of something, whether it was through my skull or whatever, or through my helmet, and there was like a laser, like a very precise, like incredibly advanced machine that was like making like small laser adjustments to like my brain or my consciousness or whatever. And it didn't feel bad, it didn't hurt or anything. And then I kind of felt myself drift out of that body in exactly the same way that I drifted out of my original body in the Maloka, in the ceremony, which was pretty profound. It was like the breath getting further and further away, the buzzing, and I almost could feel like my breath fogging up, like my fucking mask thing, whatever it was, space mask. And then I buzzed out and back into my body in the Maloka, and I was just left there being like, holy fuck, what did I just experience? Like, what was that? Like, it feels so real, and it looks so real, and that kind of experience is like, yeah, it can be fit under the same metaphor of what I was saying before about an intelligence that's crafting an experience for me, but holy shit. It could be a metaphorical kind of experience, but god damn, that felt real. And that kind of makes me question a lot of fundamental principles that you kind of take for granted in this reality. It's like, what the fuck is the only thing you can really say. And after that experience, I kind of faded into my body, as I said, and then I kind of faded out again, and I had this experience with this kind of translucent, see-through, the best way to describe it, I guess, is like a glass cat that's animate, it's alive. And I kind of was walking down this like corridor, and I looked behind and saw it. And as I saw it, I recognized that it was there, but that it had always been there with me in some way, and it was very powerful. And the only thing that defined it in reality, it wasn't like glass, but it was like a see-through cat. But the only thing that defined it was these symbols around it, these circles and lines and strange patterns, and it was like Egyptian hieroglyphics almost, like what defined the boundaries of its existence. And that was the only bit of it that you could see. But because of that, they defined it and gave it its shape as a cat, a small feline. Or maybe not small, but yeah, or fairly small. Not like a lion, but bigger than a house cat. And that was with me for a certain period of time, and then I kind of walked through, and there was some other entities there, and it launched out a window and just left this trail of like this absolutely beautiful patterns. And I felt like very loved but very protected, like it had always been there, and from that moment it was always still going to be there with me, whether I could see it or not. And that was a beautiful vision. That was and all these experiences, like, they sound so ludicrous, but like they're so real at the time that it's crazy. It's amazing. It's amazing thing. Ayahuasca. It's an amazing brew, amazing plant, and DMT really at the heart of it. But there's some magic about it in the ceremony there with the Icaros and the beautiful kind of feminine Icaros that were being sung. Just created this kind of amazing experience. And then the last kind of most memorable vision was I was kind of traveling through this dark and tunnel, almost like underground. It felt like heading deep and deeper underground. And there was these shadowy entities that I saw in the first experience, but I was kind of afraid of them then. But they kind of, in this context and with this beautiful experience, I could see that they weren't bad in any way. And maybe none of them are. But this one was kind of, these two, it was a pair of these very slender, very tall and thin, like shadow entities. And they were kind of leaning over the tunnel. They were almost constructing the tunnel that I was in. And they kind of moved out, and I could see that they were entities, and I had a communication with them, and I was kind of like communicating with them, like, and they looked at me, they exchanged with me energy in some way that it was like, we know that it's tough. We know that it's tough for you to be a human. We know that you're afraid. It's normal. Don't worry about it. You know, we're here. We can help you. It's okay. And then there was this very kind of deep exchange. Like I remember I reached out and touched them, and they reached out to me, and there was this beautiful exchange of bluey pink kind of energy, very slow moving, almost like astral dust being like recycled from me to them, from them to me. And they understood me through dimensions and through everything. Somehow we were connected in some way, and they understood me, and that was beautiful. And that was pretty much all of the most memorable visions I can remember from that experience. But these just weren't like, oh, you know, what a funny experience. These were like reality shattering, like, oh my fucking God, how did I just experience that? Like, what is that? Like, you have an experience that's more real, just as real or more real than this reality that you're in now. But it's so alien and so profound that it shakes you. But the biggest lesson that I feel like I learned from that experience was after that experience, I then went in and was communicating with a couple of other people that were in the ceremony with me. Some of them had left a little bit earlier, and some of them came out at a similar time to me, and we were in the room and we were kind of communicating, but it became clear that we all felt in a similar way, and that's that this medicine, this ayahuasca, opens up your heart. Like, I already live my life fairly truthfully. I was raised with a fairly strong moral compass, and I feel like I can make good, meaningful connections with human beings, you know, and I love that. That's my favorite thing. It's the most valuable currency that there is, I think, that your connections with other human beings. That's really all that there is at the end of the day. Everything else is a kind of fleeting pleasure. It's your relationship to the beings in your environment and the environment itself, which I would argue is a being, that is what's important. It's the most valuable currency of life. But this openness and this connection we shared, we all commented in different ways about, we shared some of our experiences, but we were talking to each other like we were family. And one of the guys even said, I feel like you guys are like my family right now. And another guy said, you know, it feels like we're on our own planet right now, and we all felt it, and it was it was all similar energy of just very open, like treating each other like family when we'd only known each other for a few days, but that didn't matter because we were humans and we were innately connected, and we were just reminded by the medicine, by the ayahuasca, that that's what it's like. You can be that connected to people, and you can share that. Everywhere you go, everyone can be your family. Everyone can be your family everywhere you go if you know that in your heart, that we're all just people, and that everyone's a sum of their experiences, and no one's out to hurt you or hurt anyone else. It's just resonances of experiences. And you're never going to beat the world by closing yourself off or trying to run or hide and protect yourself or cut yourself off. It's never going to work out like that, and you're never going to find true happiness. You have to trust, and you have to share, and you have to be open. And you'll get hurt sometimes, and like, definitely you will, but it's worth it, because that's life and that's living, and anything else is selling it short. And it was beautiful, and it's beautiful to be that open. And since then I've been more open, not as open as that night, but I've got a reference point and a model to strive towards, you know what I mean? You can be that open. Like, it shows you that these visionary states are possible, and that you can see and feel like that on other dimensions and other levels. The openness it gives you in your heart shows you that you can be that open. You can treat that stranger like your family. It's fine. It's natural to do that. And in this world, it's getting harder and harder for us to realize that, but that's the heart of it, man. Life can be beautiful, and life can be a lot more than it is. And all you have to do is be receptive, be open, and allow it in. Not life's always knocking on the door there. You just have to let it in. And that's what it showed me, and all of those experiences. And that was my last experience there in Peru of ayahuasca. I've only done ayahuasca the 2 times, and yeah, and I've got some other psilocybin trip reports and LSD, and that maybe I'll put some of them up. But yeah, thanks for watching, and if you like it, check back to my channel. I'll put up more videos like this whenever I can. Cheers.